Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Welcome everyone to episode 47. Now, before we get into it, we do have to say that, it's been a bit, Alex, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of time there.
Yeah, I know if you are just listening through these episodes for the first time, episode 46 to 47, you're like, hey, what are you talking about, man? It's been 40 minutes. Well, for us, it's been almost 2 years. So life has changed quite a bit, and we're just back at it, and we're both excited. So, man, without further ado, we got to get back into this. Now, we are on the SS Winnow, right? And we just left Kilika. We're finally kind of moving past that. We've been getting this whole Blitzball thing built up, and man, dude, this ship is just packed full of people.
Yeah, exactly. You got pretty much everybody on here, especially a whole bunch of Blitzball players, which all have some pretty hilarious things to say.
Some quick things here is in the first room you start off, there's just a high potion next to Letty. No big deal, but make sure you get that. You can, as Alex alluded, you can talk to all the different Blitzball players. We already know that the Luca goers are jerks. Interesting, though, is if you talk to the two chicks, it's like, I don't even remember what their names are.
Belgerda and Dorum, I think are
Yep,
their
actually,
names, or
that sounds
something
about
like
right.
that.
Yes, they are talking about this cute Blitzball player on the Besaid Arcs. I don't think they know it's Titus, because if you talk to them, they're like, hey, you're pretty cute too. Want to have some fun? And it's like, maybe?
Yeah, seriously. I think they're talking about Letty. But anyways, Titus goes up there, and of course that's a mistake because I want to mess around with these chicks.
No, because they are all jerks, as we'll find out. Owaka the 23rd is here again. He's chasing his rags to riches dreams. He's still going after it. So you still have the opportunity to donate money. Again, kind of keep in mind how much you donate. I think it does tell you anyways, so there should be a ticker, or at least you will get that ticker at Luca. I noticed that I had
Yeah.
that because, dude, I hopped in here. I was like, crap, I don't remember how much I've donated. It's not like it's
Yeah.
really that big a deal if you over donate, but just remember, like, once you get to 10,001 gil, you're good. You don't need to donate any more than that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit tricky. I'll just shout out that when I go through this part, you kind of have to do quite a bit of battles or grinding to get that amount of money, to be honest, because the time at which you have to raise that amount, sometimes it's not even worth it. Like if you
No.
just, give them maybe like 100 gil or something, if you give them like 5,000, you honestly don't get hardly anything as far as a discount out of it.
Right. Anyways, there is an Albed Primer, Volume 5. It's in the bridge. It's an easy one to see again. So just soon, I think it's as soon as you come out from below deck, it's just the door right there. Just go whoop right in, grab that. So as you move around the ship, there'll be a couple of cutscenes. Real quick before we actually just kind of get into that, there's the whole affection piece. Remember, you gain affection with your party members, and that just basically kind of changes who's in what cutscene and all that at certain points. This is kind of a big one. So if you head to Yuna and Luca goers, they're going to have a cutscene. But if you go there before you go to Waka and Lulu, Yuna's affection increases by 4.
The whole affection value system in this game is actually really interesting because, if you're just playing the game naturally, honestly, you're not really thinking about it. And there's another part here with this whole conversation string that you can get between Waka and Lulu at the top deck of the boat. You basically just approach from the stairs. You just keep going up there. And
Yep.
there's essentially 4 conversations there where they're talking about Titus and, whether or not he's from Xanarkand and, all of these different things. There's a whole conversation, and you can increase both of their affection points by 4, and then you can go and speak to Waka after that for another 4.
And, some of the characters are a lot harder to get affection for than others. And Waka's kind of down below. So it is pretty funny though, man, with their conversation because, Lulu, dude, she is an emotional abuser, okay? She just beats up on Waka all the time. As if he, couldn't Lulu at any point go to Titus and be like, hey, bro, you're not coming with us. You stay. No, it has to be Waka. Oh, it's your best buddy. Only I'm gonna nag you
Yeah,
forever, but
yeah.
because she's like, oh, leave him in Luca. And then in later conversation, she's like, well, why don't you ask him to be a guardian? Which one is it, lady? Which one is it?
Seriously. And I disagree with her. I do actually think leaving him in Luca is better than in Besaid. I mean, what the heck is he gonna do in
I
Besaid?
know, dude.
So
Especially
at
after
least
like
he's
half
got
the
Blitzball.
population just left here.
Seriously. And then other than that, you got another little convo with Yuna after the Luca goers. Another affection points by 4, if you're keeping track.
Yes, yeah. So even after that, if you talk to Yuna again, you'll get 4 more. And the conversation, dude, it's kind of sad, really, because they're just talking about Blitzball. Yuna's like, oh, he's from the Xanarcanabes and all this. She's kind of putting him out there, and then Titus just, man, he wimps out. He's like, oh, since toxin. Come on, dude. Seriously, your woman is standing up for you, and you just hunt her out to dry.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's scared to say it now at this point, But he just keeps coming up with the same
He's gotta act cool.
excuse. It's
Yeah.
toxin.
Oh, you're that idiot.
Yeah.
They're quiet. We got screenshots. We'll be posting them as we usually do because, man, those Luca goers are just absolute jerks. If you are into Blitzball, in the very least, this is probably the most important thing you can ever do in the game for Blitzball, in my opinion, is making sure you get this jet shot, right? This is a forced thing, so no matter what, you have to do it, and it's not particularly hard, in my opinion, but, we just want to make sure we get this. He has this little flashback, right? This kid it's him as a kid. He's going to kick the ball, and his old man comes over and is like, oh, trying that shot. First off, Titus just went to go kick the ball. How in the world did Jet know that he was trying to do jet shot? It's like, oh, yeah, oh, you're doing that shot. Dude, he could have been passing. I mean, how do you...
Well, yeah, and then also in the little flashback, you see him try to kick the ball and he just completely whiffs like Charlie Brown or something.
Yeah, Charlie Brown. Oh, man.
But yeah, I was going to say on that note, absolutely make a save before this part here. It kind of just triggers when you, after that conversation with Yuna and the Luca goers, you go up to there's a ball sitting on the deck, and you walk up to it, and it starts this. Make a save because there's a game possibly coming up that you're really going to want this for.
Yes. This whole jet shot thing, it's just a mini game where the little phrases pop up on the screen, and you just gotta directionally press and hit action button wherever it is, or just, press it if it's in the center. You only need to hit 10 to succeed, and it gives you kind of like a little half run to kind of see what it is. I mean, again, I don't think I ever failed this unless I just really wasn't paying attention. It's pretty easy. Yeah. I mean, there's way more than enough that pops up.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, you just gotta watch out for the little phrases to show up on screen. Basically, just Jekt putting him down constantly, so you gotta try to eliminate it in your mind or something.
Best. You can't do it, kid. You can't do it, kid. You can't do it, kid. That's if you get the same one over and over again, like I do sometimes.
Yeah, you'll just be pressing X and it just kind of skips it.
You'll just smash them.
I'm the best.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then also just, if you're paying attention to the kick, which is kind of hard to do with the message, but you see it. And I remember the first time I was like, this is the most absurdly unrealistic shot I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like he goes up in the air, he does like a 14,000 degree spin. Pow! And it's like, okay, all right.
You'll see how cheap it is too in the game when you guys get this. It's hilarious.
Yes. As usual, the Blitzball, the orcs are there watching with their jaws to the ground, and Waka wants to see it again because they're always like, whoa, what is this? At this point, you might not know about it, especially if it's your first playthrough, but Titus, anyone can do it if you try. Dude, BS. Literally no one else in the game can do this. This is a specific shot to Titus. No one can do it, especially not Datto, who you see in the air spinning and falling to the ground. That dude sucks.
Yeah, he's trying, but you're right. It is kind of funny when you think about it. Nobody else in the game can learn this ability.
No one.
It is 100% unique, and it's insane. So
it's insanely
good. It is kind of funny though. Like Datto's trying to learn it, but he ain't ever gonna learn it.
No. And it goes to Yuna, and Yuna tells Titus, be like, hey, that's the jet shot, isn't it? Titus is like, oh, how do you know that? And again, this is just like further confirms that, yes, Jet, who was, Braska's guardian, is in fact Titus's father. There's no refuting it at this point because, I mean, it's the jet shot. After that, it essentially goes to Luca, and what we get is the whole intro of the ship coming up, the cinematic, dude. It was awesome. It just shows Luca, shows the city, it shows like the Blitzball stadium and all that stuff, and it's like, dude, finally we get somewhere where there's more than like 10 people around.
Exactly. I was gonna say this is the first part in the game, other than the very beginning at Xanarkand, where you're at actually like a bustling city,
Yeah.
seaport kind of place, and it's crazy.
And it's like in the middle of like a celebration, so there's just the balloons everywhere. I also love the soundtrack too, right? The da-na-na-na and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's a great intro into the city. Unfortunately, it gets pretty bad after that. They are not too kind. They're announcing, right? They're announcing the Blitzball teams as they come off the boat. And dude, Baba and what is the other dude's name? I forget what it is, but
Jimma and Baba, I
Jimma,
think.
dude, they are brutal. Hey, they're sportscasters, man. They gotta tell it as it is.
Yeah.
But gosh, a living, breathing statistical impossibility.
Impossibility.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love how he's like, in all my years, I've never seen a team this bad. In 5 years, they've never won a single game. It's like, oh my, that is painful.
Dude, I know it's pretty bad, and I do love the HD remastered because they really obviously got the details down on facial. Dude, Titus's face is so pensive and just so mad after. You can tell it's like, well, yeah, I mean that would be tough, especially him, star player of a very successful team in Xanarkand, and now you're getting called this. It's like, yeah, that's not too good. And of course, Luca goers, because they're home, they just get standing ovations. It goes on and on and on. We don't understand how in the world they are like so amazingly good, and we'll get to that.
Stop right there, goers. Yeah, there's this really funny part where Titus grabs the microphone or the megaphone, my bad.
Yep.
And he jumps up on the boxes and he's basically just talking.
He's
mad
taunting them.
crap
He's giving
at
it
this
back.
point.
And, as any city goes, there's always something happening. And right after this, there's someone called Maester Micah. They, we don't know what that is even at this point. And so Maester Micah has arrived. We head on over to the dock. Dude, I gotta literally ask you this. Why are the musicians in Final Fantasy X and X-2 like animal people? Listen, I understand it is, but there's like no other bird people, frog people, or mouse people in the entire game other than these three musicians.
I know, it's so weird. And they seem to be at several places at one point in time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got them here, and then later on you see them. I guess they are the same.
They're
'Cause you
doing the
just see 'em
Spira World
around, but
Tour.
That is actually something really funny because they are a different species, it seems like.
Yeah,
But again,
clearly.
you don't ever see any other.
Yeah, very, very unique to just playing the instruments. But, it's whatever. Regardless, Maester Micah, you learn that essentially he's like the head of Yevon, which is, like the religious faction in Spira. He's also 50 years old who needs to retire. And mind your manners. It's like, what, dude? We can't comment the fact that he looks like he's dead. Gosh, that dude is just liver spotted and turned into dust in front of our eyes here.
Yep, and then you also gotta get this new Maester Seymour.
No one sees more butts than you, Uncle Tony. Sorry, that was a heavyweights reference, if everyone gets that.
He's introduced as a new Maester. I believe they say that he's replacing Maester Jiskel.
Yep.
But we don't really know anything too much about that yet. We just know that he's checking out Yuna.
He's checking out Yuna. He's got a really just bizarre hairstyle. And it's kind of like, dude, how much hair gel did you use for that? Like, holy cow. You also learned that he's a Guado. They're like, he's a Guado, right? So that doesn't mean much right now. That's it. And he just does his little thing that he's, glad to be ordained. And then he just stares at Yuna hardcore and she's like, ooh, And
Titus is not impressed, basically. He's
hey,
just
man,
like,
stop looking at my girl. But
he's not liking it.
Well, we're finally getting to the Blitzball, man. I'm ready to get to this. I love Blitzball. Then we go to the locker room at this point. Titus comes in. They're all like, because they're expecting Waka to come in. Waka comes in. Fist pumps and says, what is it, like 2 wins? That's right, we've been seeded. So, dude, they like have there's only like 6 teams. They have literally never been seeded ever in this championship.
I know, but it's just it makes like no sense. They got seeded, so now they're in literally like the championship game right before essentially what would be like the Super Bowl or something like that. You know
2
what I mean?
wins.
Like the big one. It's like, okay, so a team that's never won a game gets seeded to basically the second to last game in the
Yes.
this season.
And then you can win. Yeah.
But all right. Sure.
And so that essentially means they have a first game bye, and Yuna comes in. They say that Orin has been spotted in, the city, and she's like, come on, let's go look for him. She's speaking to Titus. Titus is like, all right, cool. Hey. The game starts like real soon. Yeah. It's like, dude, okay, we got a first game off. I got at least a little bit here.
Yeah. And there's also a really funny part with Titus too. It's like, somebody said that they saw Sir Orin at the cafe. Orin?
Yeah. He also gives like Waka massage or something, like, hey man, you got to loosen up. Like it's in his face. Regardless, here we go. We're on our way. On the way out, there's a couple Albed in the hallway that Titus just go up to and are like, hey, Riku and all that. He thinks they don't understand. I'm not sure if they do understand or not, but regardless, he just says that. And they're also playing the Albed Sykes for their first match, which would be the second round, obviously. And so he just wishes them well on that.
Yeah, and it's really funny too because he does the whole like, I don't know if you guys can understand me, but I'm gonna just speak louder
Yes.
so that hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that, dude. They don't understand your language. But the other funny part here,
loud.
if you did have like a save game with all of the Albed primers unlocked, you get some really interesting dialogue in here. They're like, one of them says, a lady summoner or something like that.
Well, and
we don't
actually,
know what
even
that
if
means yet.
Even if you just only picked up the ones to this point, it actually is. You do see A and then summoner, so you can pretty much piece it together pretty easily, like a lady summoner. And
yeah, we don't know what they mean by that at this point.
Yes.
But regardless of that, so there's a couple of treasures.
If you go to the opposite side, so if you come out of locker room, you'll kind of notice it's the same on the other side. If you go into the other locker room hallway, there's another Albed primer, so that's volume 6, and there's 2 high potions, so kind of cool.
There's tons and tons of other things. Now's kind of your first chance in Luca to be able to run around and do things, even though you're supposed to be at a game. Doesn't really matter.
Yes. Yeah, if you just go around to all the different docks, all in all, you'll get a tidal spear, which, it's like water strike and piercing for Kamari, so it's okay. There is a chest with 600 gil. I forget which dock. I think it's maybe dock 1.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but there's a couple other really good ones. So there's a chest with 2 Phoenix Downs. I believe that's the one where
Is it Nidus?
Yeah, I think it's one of those.
Dock 1. But some real good ones here is make sure you get the HP sphere and the magic sphere. That is in Dock 4. You got to go all the way to the end, and you can just look in the mini-map, and you'll easily see like the little path that you can go around some boxes. Owaka is also here, so honestly, if you just wanted to sell that spear, you can sell his Phoenix down. You haven't really had any chance to make any money since the last time you saw him, but you can go ahead and talk to him and get different stuff. He's selling actually some, I think, different equipment as well.
Yeah, so a couple things I was going to say. So the tidal spear, I'm absolutely never found any use of that. I wouldn't cry about selling that. The HP sphere, really good for giving to somebody like Titus, who has really low HP, Yuna, Lulu. The magic sphere, I think it's pretty obvious who you give that to. And then Owaka, he has a couple of good ones you might want to consider. So you can also donate money to him at this point still to be working up to that 10,000. But a couple of things I'd look to maybe buy is the Rule Breaker for Waka, which has Poison Touch. That can be really nice. And then maybe Stunning Steel for Titus that has Slow Touch.
Yeah, in case you want to use that over Brotherhood or something. Pretty much at this point, you just gotta go where the red arrow is in the only area you haven't, so you're kind of just walking down a different path. There's this cutscene between Yuna and, everyone's kind of crowding around her, the cameras are on her, and so Ty's like, whoa, you're really famous. And she continues walking, and then she kind of has a panic moment because, there was 4 people around, and now all of a sudden there's no one around, and she still can't find Titus that's, 10 feet away. Huh? And then it's like, come on, man. I mean, he does a whistle. Basically, they try to practice, and he's like, do that, and I'll come running if we get separated. I don't know. I always just laugh at this because that whole area, seriously, there's like 5 people there. And it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're from Besaid,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is so many people.
Yeah, this is it's kind of funny because this is a pretty important scene in the game, but it is, it's classic Final Fantasy. And
Yes.
basically, Titus is teaching her how to do a whistle that like Blitzball fans do in Zanarkand, and she
So put your
can't do
fingers
it and
like
stuff
this.
like that.
No, not like
Yeah,
that. Like this.
like this, like this. And she can't do it and all this stuff. But that'll come in later because, this is kind of, I guess, that point where they're really starting to bond and things like that.
Yeah, yes. So if you go north rather than continuing on, there's this theater, the Spheres Theater, which, by the way, that's like such a cool thing. So essentially what it is at any point, and of course you'll accumulate more as you go through the game, you can come to this and you can rewatch cinematics, which that's pretty cool, you know what I mean? Like, I wish like 7, 8, 9 or the other ones had something like that, because you can just kind of
that is true.
review them and all that. But the point here is once you go all the way into the theater, there is an Al Bhed Primer, another one, Volume 7. It's off to the left on the ground, so make sure you grab that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that Al Bhed Primer is really hard to see. I've missed that so many times. It kind of blends in with the carpet, so
Yeah, that's true.
just gotta, if you can't find it, just tap X around the
Yeah.
floor and stuff, and you'll find it. The next scene, basically, you go one screen over to the, I guess what would be the east. You progress the story a little bit, and you get this little scene with Titus commenting on how big of a city it is.
Yeah, compared to, I mean, obviously he's only son of Killica, so yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah.
whoa, you guys actually got big cities, huh? He basically says, when a bunch of people accumulate, sin just has a tendency to come in and destroy it. She says that Spira's Luca is the second largest city in Spira, so we know there's a larger one. And yeah, she just asks about Zanarkand. He gives her the deets that, like compared to Zanarkand, this is a tiny little speck on the map. But, hey, we'll give it to him. Spira, they have a monster rolling around, Godzilla. There's a few different areas you can go here. You could talk to a bunch of people, of course, if you want. There are some stairs. You'll have to go this way eventually. But if you want, there's a chest of 1,000 gil up there. So you could then hoof it back to a walk and donate that, if you're really trying to stay on it. Just head into the bar, and we get a really interesting scene, actually.
Yeah, exactly. You actually kind of get to see these other two Ronso that are fighting with Kamari. I don't know, it's really interesting because you don't really know too much about Kamari at this point. They're talking about like they haven't seen him in a long time, and why isn't he saying anything?
Yep. Biran taught much at time of horn moat, or whatever he says. And dude, well, and also actually real quick, you do realize they're kind of making fun of Kamari for how small he is, and you kind of do realize he is a small Ronso. I mean, he's like half their mass. I mean, he is tiny compared to him. It's so naturally you can take him. And I don't know, like, that's all Kamari needed, I guess, to push him over the edge, because he just uppercuts some dude, knocks him out. I mean, it's like, dang.
Yeah, I know, that was hilarious. And then the bartender's like, take it outside.
I know.
He doesn't care that somebody just got uppercutted, and he's like laying on the ground there.
Yeah. Take it outside, guys. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Game started. It's good stuff.
Yeah, but basically, Auron isn't there, and then they're like, whoa, hold on. Look at what's going on with the game.
It distracts them, and it shows just, the little cutscene and stuff. And Lulu comes in, basically says, like, where are you guys at? Yuna's been kidnapped. Dude, this all happened incredibly fast. I mean, she was just there in the courtyard. If we just take the time it takes to walk in, Kamari, like, she's been kidnapped and the ransom note has already been passed off. Like, gosh, man, they need to go, like, rob a bank, these Al Bhed Sykes, dude, because that was clockwork.
And there's also, again, the dialogue here is really funny because it's like, the Al Bhed are asking us to, the Besaid Oryx to throw the game. And then Titus is like, what?
How good of a team could they be? And it's like, oh boy, if you only knew, buddy.
Yeah, it honestly doesn't make any sense. So I agree with Titus. There's like, he's asking the Aurochs to throw the game as if they needed to. For real, like, why? I mean,
yeah, we'll get to that in a second, because
she's a summoner, but
yeah, why in the world did they do that? But
I don't think they need to. Yeah, exactly.
No, we don't want to. We're not trying to put the cart before the horse here. But yes, they didn't need to do that, essentially, and we'll find out why in a second. So you're on the hunt for you gotta basically just chase down the Albed, and so it's just Lulu, Kamari, and Titus. That's your party, and you're starting to go around the docks again. So if you went and collected the treasures, you will just basically go through the same area again around all the docks, and along the way you are fighting these little Machina robots. They don't really pose too much of a threat. Lulu can one-shot them with lightning, so that's pretty easy.
But one thing I was gonna say, so the Machina guys, do you notice like they're built out of rock or something like that? You know what I mean?
Really?
Like the robots in this game are literally made of stone.
It is
Just
pretty
something I always
interesting.
notice about it.
Yeah, they're like one-armed little machine guys too. It's odd. You'd
Yeah.
maybe give them two
But
arms, but I don't know.
but
Maybe they ran out of rocks.
like you said though, they're really easy. If you gave that magic sphere to Lulu, you'll be getting overkills.
Yeah, well, there you go, and that's a good thing because overkills are quite nice. Eventually, you'll work your way. You'll get to a save sphere. Go ahead and save it. I can't say the next fight is particularly difficult, but if you just continue through the dock, you'll get a little cutscene where you see the boat where that you're hunting down and it's leaving. I remember as kids, we always laughed about this too, and we're like, "What?" Because clearly it shows Titus and Kamari. Boom, they jump. Dude, that boat is gone before Lulu gets there. It's gone. Like, she's
No, for
way
real.
before. The next scene, boom, there she is. It's like, all right, I guess they're like, guys, can you turn back? We lost our last member. Can you just do a circle? And Lulu's like, yeah, okay, thanks.
She must have teleported because, like you said, they were in front. They make the jump, but the boat's going looks like it's going like 10 miles an hour, right?
It's going a good pace.
So by the time she gets to the pier, the end of the pier, she's gonna have to make like a solid 15-foot jump to get on there.
In
And
that
of
dress?
course, I like how they do like some trickery there, and they just black it out before you see her attempting to make a jump.
Yeah.
She's just running, and then it just goes to the next scene. It's like, yeah, we can't we can't show that.
Anyways, here we go. We got a boss fight. It's called the Obliterator, and it's kind of an interesting boss. I don't know. It's like some machine looking thing that it shoots blitzballs. I guess it's like the blitzball training device. Like the things that shoot baseballs or footballs or something. I guess that's
Yeah.
what one of this is.
Kind of looks like a robot crab in a way, almost. It's got these like
Yeah.
little legs, and it's a weird looking machine. This is kind of an interesting battle, right? Because it's a little bit of a tutorial.
Yeah, they give you this little message about the crane at the beginning, and Titus has the first move, and you can always do the little action, and it's there's crane. And if you do it at the very beginning, it'll kind of like just say that it doesn't have juice. I can't remember exactly what the wording is, but it doesn't like have any electricity. If you want to go that route, you essentially have two routes. You can just fight the boss as is, or you can kind of do the crane. And so what do you usually do?
Oh, the crane every single time.
Yeah, me
but
too.
yeah,
Why
I think
wouldn't
the
you?
only exactly. I think most people, honestly, because Lulu will say something like maybe it needs some energy, and then that's kind
Okay,
of like a
there you go.
little additional clue that you know what to do. But if you didn't have this second route to beat him, this guy's actually pretty tough because basically what he does is he counters with. So if you physically attack him, he hits you with blind ball,
Yep.
which is 100% blind. And if you hit him with magic, he hits you with a mute ball, which is 100% mute. And then he has this, trying to remember the name of it.
Blitzball
It's
Rush.
like another, yes, exactly. And that just does like 100 damage to everybody.
It's so yeah, I mean he's really annoying. He can also use doze ball, so he can put you to sleep. And so it's just those status effects and the fact that I did when I did this a few days ago. I attacked with Kamari, and you did the whole little blind ball, and then I realized I didn't have any eye drops, and so make sure
Exactly.
make sure you actually have items if you do choose to take it on. But if you do go the crane route, which why wouldn't you? You gotta shock it 3 times, so you just gotta make sure Lulu just lightnings the crane 3 times, and then it'll be running, and you can use it. And gosh, dude, it does like essentially the crane just goes and like it pulls off like the top piece of the machine, and it does like 4,400 health. I mean, it's like insane, or damage rather.
Pretty much everything, and then all you got to do is hit him with lightning one more time, and he's
Yep.
done.
Overall, pretty easy, pretty quick also, and you get an elixir for winning, so that's a pretty cool prize. And now we get a little cutscene again. Titus is kind of looking around the ship, and they're like, "Yo, dude, what are you doing?" He's like, he tells the story, about Riku, and they're like, "Yeah, I was on some bed ship, and all that stuff." They kind of spilled the beans now about Yuna's heritage.
Exactly. We actually find out that Yuna is half Albed. you know, when we know that Yuna's father is famous, he's Lord Braska, he's a high summoner.
Yes.
He wed an Albed woman or
Yep.
something like that, right? And so that's how Yuna's half Albed. Basically, Lulu's just like, don't tell Waka.
He doesn't like Albed, and and on that note, we're not going to get into the heaviness of it. We're going to keep it light and funny, but it is kind of like, it's like, whoa, dude, Waka, take it easy, she's like, don't tell Waka. Okay, dude, I didn't understand, what does he mean by this? Because directly after that, Tice is like, whoa, I gotta tell Waka. Was he seriously like,
what?
was he just telling it like that? Or was it what? Because they're like, oh, she's like, I thought I told you not to tell him. And they're like, oh, the game. Yeah. Tell him what about the game? Like, I didn't pick up what he's trying to say here, guys. Fill me in,
I know it's weird. It's almost like he's sort of, that's what's on his mind, but at the same time, he's like, oh crap, the game. Tell him what? I'm going to play in the next game, or?
Lulu sets up a flare, and Waka sees this. They're in the Blitzball match, right? Waka sees this flare. Waka's also been getting beat up by the Albed Sykes. He's been getting fouled and all this. They haven't been calling it. And then Lulu's like, this is before we hopped on ship. Lulu's like, it happens like this every year. And it's like, whoa, dude. So they just, the refs just let Waka get beat up every year. Dude, what the heck, man? What is wrong with these refs? But regardless, seeing the flare, they realize, Waka realizes Yuna's safe, and they go on an all-out offensive for the game. Letty makes a long pass. Waka gets it, does some move that doesn't exist in Blitzball, and then scores.
Yeah.
And they beat the Albed Sykes. How did they beat the Albed Sykes?
Yeah.
How did they do it?
I'll just be the first one to say there ain't no way Waka scored that goal, okay? I'm sorry, that's Nimrod that the Albed Sykes have a goalie, and ain't nobody scoring on him.
No, he starts out with what? Isn't it like 16 or 18 catch or something?
It's like 18
It's
catch.
absurdly high. What we're getting at is we will go more into Blitzball, and we'll lay it on slowly as we go. But the Albed Sykes, starting out at first level, they are the best team. It's insane, their stats. I mean, like, again, 18 catch. They got like around the same for shooting and all this. And if you know the Besaid Aurochs, okay, if they couldn't beat Luca Goers, they're not going to be able to beat the Albed Sykes. So it's just pretty hysterical.
It's just another weird, it's just another story event, basically, that once you actually get into Blitzball, it just doesn't make any sense. Because it's the same thing with like how the Luca Goers are supposedly really great.
Yeah.
Which we'll see how great they are in a little bit here.
Yes. And so eventually we get back, they win, Lulu's kind of impressed. Dude, again, Lulu, the emotional attacker here, like, oh, but Chapu would have been standing. Who cares? Is that what it's about? It's about whoever's standing last. They won the game. Why can't you be happy for Waka? Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, and it's really funny here, too, because Titus is just like, hey, aren't you being just a little unfair?
Excuse me?
I don't know. Yeah, she, again, like, it's funny because we don't know exactly what's going on yet, There's a whole bunch of things below the surface that we don't know that's going on. And so, yeah, it's a really interesting part there.
All right, well, we are now back into the locker room. Waka's just kind of upset that Yuna got kidnapped, but, Titus just hop in and is like, just let it go. And so we find out that Waka's going to go ahead and he's going to warm the bench, not Bada, because it's like, Bada, you wouldn't warm the bench anyways, dude. We need you on defense. There's 2 defensive players. You're the only one of 2, buddy.
That's true.
You also get a glimpse of Oren. He is, in fact, there, right? He's walking on up. Actually, I think that was earlier. I don't know. I'm kind of going over the place.
No, there's a lot of cutscenes and things like that.
Yes. But we get into Blitzball. So we're gonna kind of just glaze over this. Essentially, the first half, you can't do anything. You can't edit your players. You can't edit any of their abilities. None of them have slots anyways, for the most part. And so it's just kind of the most basic straight up Blitzball game there's gonna be in the game is this one right here.
Yeah, it's just really tough because right off the bat, you've got to switch over to manual mode.
Oh, yes.
That's like number one, because on automatic, the AI, you'll find out in this game, like with any Final Fantasy, especially the old ones, randomness is bad.
Yes.
And the AI is really, really stupid.
So, yes. To put it as nicely as we can,
Oh
stupid.
man,
It
that's
is
just
so dumb.
all there is to it. Yeah, that's all there
They
is
just
to
try.
it.
I
You
mean,
just do not
case in
want.
point, when they get the ball, they just run straight into all three of
Yeah,
your guys usually. So it's like, okay, don't let that happen. Stop them.
yeah,
Take control. And quite honestly, this isn't that hard of a match if you're just a little smart with the ball. So the first thing is, don't do what they do. Don't take on more than one person at a time. If you're Dado or Titus or anyone else, don't probably want to engage at all with Bada. He's got like 3 endurance. He's gonna get hit even by the forwards. It's essentially just kind of playing it smart. You want to try to get as close to the goal as possible in this first one. It's not that hard to actually score because Titus has 10 shoot and the goalkeeper, he only has like 8 catch. So you generally can
yeah.
score if you're close enough and if you get a break. A tactic I like to do is generally I'd give it to Jasu, and then you can kind of, because a bus, I like to call him a bus because that's his name,
Yeah.
but he's on that side, and that dude sucks for attack, right? And Jasu could easily take him on.
Yeah.
So I like to plow through
Yeah.
him, and then you can kind of just hug that southern edge. And as soon as you see that defender start to, I'm just looking on the mini map, honestly, in the triangle. As soon as you start to see it chase you, you can kind of like lead them and then pass to Titus, who will no longer be in range of the defender. And then you got an open goal.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I do the exact same thing because Jasu, it's pretty much impossible that Avis is going to be able to take the ball from Jasu and, keep Avis occupied. And then, yeah, you just look at the mini map. You kind of get close enough to that defender to where they start to chase you,
Yep.
pull him away a little bit, get Titus free on goal. And then
Yeah.
the only thing you have to worry about that is the fact that once you score, there's a chance that Luca goers could get it back again.
Well, they will get it back, right? Because it goes to
True.
whatever team got scored on. As soon as you level up from that first half, so no matter what with Titus, you need to start just shooting because that's how you get experience, right? And so you need to take shots, even if it won't make it. Just go for it because honestly, dude, I scored 3 goals on mine in the first half with Titus. He was tearing it up, man. Like I got a couple lucky breaks. I scored with a 6 shot versus 8 catch. I got lucky on RNG, right? So you can get lucky that way. Yeah. Ideally, my kind of rule of thumb here is if the Luca goers even score 1 in the first half, I usually just play keep away and I'll just kind of pass it back. I won't let it go because the second half is where you'll really shine. You'll get the abilities. Someone else will come in and can easily score. So it's not that hard if you're kind of in that. So that's the thing. If you're down a goal or 2 goals or whatever, just at that point, just start passing it back, run out the clock, which doesn't really take that long.
Yeah, one thing I like to do, to be honest, in this first game especially, kind of like what you said, Dado, he's really not that useful for shooting because his shoot is pretty close. I think it's like
8.
8 or 9. Yeah, it's really not good. So your chances of actually scoring with Dado is not great. But what you can do, and what I also like to do, is just get 1 goal, get the ball back, and then just pass it back and forth. Like, don't even waste any time. Just as soon as one player gets it, and just keep passing it to like Dado, Bada, Jasu, Letty, Titus, And then by the end of it, your guys will get up to level 2, maybe level 3. That's a good strategy even for the second half because then you'll be coming back with stronger stats and maybe abilities.
Absolutely. And, this is actually bringing up memories of our mini game episode way back where I think we talked about this very thing. So remember, actions in the match are what give XP, not like breaking tackles, not just holding on to it. So you got to be passing or shooting. And ideally, if you have an ability, use that because it gets you a little extra experience as well. So if you ever have passes like Nat Pass or, Venom or any of the shots, use those rather than the regular ones if you can. And we'll get into why you might not be able to. But regardless, that first half ends. So now we get into the second half, and you're able to set your players now. Probably just set the same, because again, you kind of want Jasu and Titus on the same side. So if you'd rather have them be on the top, which I think is the right defender and right forward, switch them there. Just make sure they're on the right side, because that is, again, the strategy, we said is, honestly, that is just the easiest one. But I'd probably keep him on the bus side because he sucks as an attacker. And make sure that with Titus, you swap out, because Sphere Shot will be there for the skill. Swap it out for Jet Shot. Have to.
Yep, and you'll find out why. So another thing I'll throw out too is the main guy on the Luca goers you really want to stay away from is that center.
Yes.
Typically, Grav is really annoying because he's usually a high level. I think he even starts at a higher level, and he tends to have abilities that I think it's called like brawler and things like that, where he gets into basically those one-on-one or
Yep.
two-on-one situations a lot more quickly. But it's pretty much just trying to make sure that you're getting one of the front, the forwards, not the center, not the defenders or anybody
Yeah.
like that.
And we would, of course, always recommend against ever pushing through the center because you will just be swarmed so quickly.
Yep,
And so
exactly.
always go on outside edges. You can also mark players. So for any of the team members on your team, you can essentially have them, I guess, like it's like watch, I guess, like that's your man to watch. And if they have abilities, it'll be highlighted that you can learn it. Because it's so early, and honestly, if you were able to kind of keep the ball away from the goers, probably only goalie leveled up unless they were able to do stuff. And so that's actually good for that, but, they might not have any abilities to learn. But regardless, for the second half, the important thing to remember is that at 3 minutes game time, which of course is not even real minutes, right? It's like 3 times as fast.
Yeah.
It's going to segue out, and you will no longer be able to get Titus. Honestly, now I would say go ahead and charge right in, man. Don't get more than 2 on you, but if you have 2 on you, go for it. Who cares? Because, oh boy, jet shot.
Exactly. I mean, heck, even if you get like 3, so what you can do in the second half, like Mark was saying, because you don't have much time to work with, and jet shot takes
20 seconds.
like half a minute
Takes
even to
20
shoot.
seconds
So,
itself.
but basically, like you saw when he was practicing, it's super cheap because he kicks the ball, which hits one defender and completely wipes them out. So no longer like their attack and their block is just gone. Right? It's hilarious, and
Yeah.
it just shows
They
them like
disappear.
laying sideways.
Oh.
Yeah, and then it comes back, ricochets, he punches it, takes out another defender,
Yes.
and then does his 14,000 degree spin kick thing.
Yeah. And it does like what, 12? I think it adds 12 to shoot. So
That's a
I mean,
ton.
his shoot will be
Crazy.
over 20. You are, and that's why Alex said, yeah. I mean, even if there's a third defender, it's not going to knock the block off enough to lower that
Or-
shoot to not score, unless you're just really far away.
Right, you could even risk breaking. I mean, honestly, there's a chance. I think his endurance is fairly good, so there's
Yeah.
a good chance he'll survive that hit anyways. As long as it's not more than one person, they'll be
Yes.
able to break to him.
And just the key thing to remember with this is the fact that jet shot takes 120 health.
Yep, you
And
only get one
that's on
shot.
top of whatever his regular shoot is. So as you do actions, it takes off your HP. Titus's shoot probably from, if you leveled up in the first half, is going to be 11. So it will take off 11, and then it will take off 120. So in all, the
Yep.
shot cost 131, and he doesn't have enough for 2 shots. And I would recommend doing it as soon as possible, just in case you get in situations where his HP's draining. You know what happened in my playthrough, man? I actually was not able to use jet shot. I got poisoned on him.
Oh,
And so I
man.
was going,
Yeah,
and
I
I
always
just,
forget that.
I was trying to take it, and I didn't have enough, and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I still won 4-0, but it was like,
Yeah.
I actually didn't get to use it for the first time. But regardless, once you hit 3 minutes on the game clock, it fades to this whole scene. Now, look, I understand that the game's just programmed to do this no matter what. But these fans, dude, what more do they want from me? I scored 4 goals with Titus, and they're calling
Yeah.
for Waka, and it's like, I just scored 4 goals, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's always really annoying when this happens because, like you said, I mean, I don't think I've ever been up by 4, but
Oh,
I'll
it was the
typically
best
be
match
up.
I've had.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, I'll usually be up by like, at least a goal or something
Yeah.
like that. But I get you because they're like, Waka, Waka, Waka. It's like, what are you
It
complaining
seems
about?
they're
We're
calling
winning
for
the
a walk-up,
game."
folks.
Yeah, we're sitting here like winning the game, and they're just, nope, we want Waka. We don't
Yes.
like you, Titus. So, yeah.
Also, why was everyone in the field just okay with stopping? Like, weren't they already cheering and chanting?
Yeah.
That's what you do at sports
Yeah.
games. That's like if a football game was going on here in America, right? And all the crowd just started chanting a player's name, and everyone just stopped and waited. Like, huh? What do we do? I don't know.
Yeah, they're all looking.
Oh.
They're all looking around
Yeah,
like,
like, huh?
what's
Well,
going on?
I
They're
guess that
calling for
player's gotta.
Walkers.
We can't play until that player's on the field. I guess.
Yeah.
It's a hysterical thing. But regardless, Titus shows what a good team player he is, man. I mean, he
Yeah.
understands that this is Waka's team, and that's what he says. And he gets off the field. Waka comes in with his broken ribs and his bruised ego. And here's the thing: it's not really like you're worse off. Waka's actually pretty dang good, and he's got Venom Shot, which is pretty much a guaranteed shot as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize because you don't actually get to like set the formation after this, it just resumes basically, right? And so Waka actually has crazy good shoot, yeah, because with Venom Shot, I'm pretty sure that puts him up to 16. So
Yeah.
if you get Waka free, and I like to do this just for like the symbolic victory of it. I always feel good when Waka can get a goal on
Yes.
the goers, So
Yep.
it's kind of nice. Like, do the same thing, give it to Jasu, get Waka free, because he'll also be in Titus's place, so naturally be Jasu, and then get Waka free, get another goal in on the goers, and it's just like rubbing salt in the wound.
Yes, the goers will be, in fact, goners. Hopefully you do win this. It's not the worst thing in the world if you don't. You do get a strength sphere if you win, which for right now, that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, 4
I
strength
think
is
it's really
huge.
good, yeah.
In the long run, it doesn't matter that much. But for right now, it's great. And it's just, of course, like you said, it's the fact that you rub it in their face, It's like, imagine that. All that Oryx needed was another good player. Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's all they needed.
No, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. Like when I first played this game, and probably a while after that until I found out this tactic, it's very easy to lose this game.
Yes.
Basically, that's just if you engage too much with them, there's a really good chance you're going to get in a situation where you can't pass the ball and they're going to take the ball from you. And
Yes.
if that happens, basically the trick with this game, it really is keep away at the end of the day, because if Abus or Bixen get the ball and they somehow it's 1-on-1 or something, they're gonna score on Keepa.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Keepa is
Jasu
really,
and Bada
really bad.
don't really have enough tack to
No.
take on these players one-on-one, and Keepa has 6 catch. So, I mean,
Right.
anyone could score on that, essentially.
So it's really easy to lose this game. But if you just follow that strategy, and basically another thing I like to do that kind of helps in these early ones is, I think it's if you press triangle with a PlayStation controller, you can also change your formation defensively. So you can go like shift right or something like that.
Yeah.
That's your best bet if they're driving on goal.
Stack up the
because
side.
because honestly, you guys don't have any abilities. They don't have great attack. You just need to try and get as many people, to try and attack or...
Just gotta mob them, essentially.
Yep.
Well, at that point, I think it actually just goes to, it lets you save. And that's where we're stopping. So we're not going to continue on. We'll save that for the next episode. I will say this was a real fun episode to go through because it's just been so long, man. And that was a good one.
Hey, it's good to be back, yeah?
You were saving that. I knew it.
I had to.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, yeah, it's great to be back. Life is crazy. Things can get pretty busy, but
Yep.
we're gonna really try and keep going on 10 and get through this.
So we'd like to thank you all for hanging out and checking out this episode. As always, man, here we go. Get into it. You can go to our website. It is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.
Yeah, you got it.
We just have a blog there. Some basic stuff, as you know, if you've listened to all these episodes. Something new that might be coming pretty soon, though, is we're trying to put together kind of like a Blitzball page with just like kind of all the stats, all the players, like our analysis of players and teams and further tactics and stuff, because I mean, it's such a large mini game that we can't sit here and put too much into it. So hopefully that'll be up running shortly. And again, we would just like to thank you all. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.